the spectrum's a bit more broad in terms of the types of problems that are being solved on chain, there's more opportunity for people to get in. And that is really probably the key to adoption, is like give as many people a chance to get into it as possible, and then cool stuff will happen off the back of it. Crypto is very narrative driven, right? And you've just come back from Devcon. So what kind of stood out for you of where crypto is kind of tacking towards at the moment?
For me, I was actually just astounded at how many people were even there, right?
Yeah.
Because compared to ECC, which I admittedly didn't go to the main conference, but I think it was quite well known that some events weren't that well attended.
Yeah, okay.
And Devcon, I think, was actually a bit worried about this. But every event I went to was pretty full.
Yeah.
And then I went to Devcon the last day, and you're kind of expecting a conference last day. I've been to Bitcoin Miami. That was probably my first big conference I did on this space, and I worked for MoonPay.
Yeah.
By the end of it, not many people were in the conference. Devcon final day absolutely packed out. People
Really?
packed. People, because obviously the hackathons they're doing, all of that, obviously all the free things that the complimentary drinks, food, everything. The just the aesthetic and the vibe, it felt so welcoming. So the kind of vibe, the read I got is that people are super passionate about the space. They're really willing to build in the space.
Yeah.
I think Devcon is always one of those legacy conferences that you could argue is always gonna do well, but they've done well because I think they provide a nice atmosphere and it feels great. You know, Vitalik speaking, they've got we were just walking around the floor and they have the workshops going on, and it was one that was like, what is a DAO? And so you can kind of see that it's not just for those who are super technical, because admittedly I'm not the most technical person by all means. I kind of know a lot of things in the space, but Devcon, you think, okay, this is a completely developer conference.
Yeah.
You need to know how to,
Write smart contracts.
write smart contracts and be a Solidity developer and all that. And actually to see that it was really quite nice. So I was like, okay, so people are here that maybe getting into crypto for the first time. So the read I got on the whole of Devcon was that it was for everyone. It wasn't just for people that were super technical. Obviously, you could have that. And I think as well, I mean, honestly, because we put on so many of our events, I didn't get to go to the most of events, but I went to such a range. So I went to this Alpha Safe event, which is really cool. Imagine Oriental, such a high quality event. Really cool. And they were announcing some of their new products, which was great. And that was probably more of the technical kind of things. That was more of a presentation. Versus went to this boys club event, which is one of the best driven communities I can see in Web3, which is like a rooftop pool party, a lot of levity. It was just about the vibe, and I mean the branding room. It's really cool, and you could tell that people weren't really there to discuss the inner workings of crypto. Maybe they were, but it was definitely fun. And so I saw a range of things, something for everyone. Because admittedly, I think if you're going back to back with panels and meetings, sometimes having that relief is also nice. And for me, I met so many people at Devcon. I knew people who knew them, or have friends or colleagues that work with them, and sometimes you form those connections in sometimes a more casual setting, and then you never know when that will form into a business relationship too.
You obviously go to a lot of these events with what Serotonin does. Would you think it's fair to say that you're seeing it like evolve somewhat in the types of people that it can cater for effectively? So like try more all-encompassing with, because when crypto's blockchain started, right, it was just degen develop. You had to know how to do it to be involved in it. And now I think you can, where it's kind of grown so much, there's loads of opportunities for people to fill out the rest of what becomes a market and a business. Like it's not all developers. There's also sales and product marketing and thought leadership, and like that is what creates like a thriving sector, is the capacity for everyone to work in it, not just one particular person.
And there's a whole sector of people just kind of educating the mass market. And if you think about, if you want to try and make big Web3 adoption, you can't go that technical. People don't care. And so I think when you have that kind of lane as well, then suddenly it becomes a lot more accessible. That's the whole aim of that kind of game. And this is what I said, I think the the ZB guys interviewed me, as you have more of a diverse range of people, not just saying that women are more kind of marketing focused and creative, but typically that the degen guys, the crypto developer guys that are a little bit nerdy, not saying that that's like everyone, but
Yeah.
that's kind of your typical view. And that's what I think a lot of people think about when they think about crypto. Like, so to have
The memes say as much, right?
yes. So I think to have that, I think with the range of different jobs comes the diversity, which allows for there to be space for everyone. Serotonin is a press agency, so you have to have the people that are creative, that are creating those narratives, that are talking to people, that are pitching. I'd say my job, a lot of my job is talking to our members, understanding what they want. How can we help you? How are there people you'd like to meet? Are there things you'd like to solve? I think mine's a lot more relationship management.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I think it's an interesting point you make, because if you see other people that like the things that you like, oh, I could do that as well because they're similar to me. You know? And I think maybe I will take the leap, and like, but yeah, I think like for people that wanting to take the leap into Web3, I think seeing that there's the requirement for many different skills, not just one type. I think even just like historically it's been, and it still is, like DeFi was born first, right? So like if you understood financial markets, the instruments, the derivatives, how this stuff worked, it was very similar to traditional finance, albeit lower barrier to entry, which is cool. But if you weren't in that, it did and can seem like a foreign language. But now I think where the spectrum's a bit more broad in terms of the types of problems that are being solved on chain, there's more opportunity for people to get in, and that is really probably the key to adoption, is like give as many people a chance to get into it as possible, and then cool stuff will happen off the back of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.